George Osborne has said that the economy is turning the corner. Now, he used the present tense there, is turning the corner. He hasn't said the corner has been turned, the recovery is stable. But it's really pretty much saying that the Treasury now thinks the recovery is pretty stable and is going to continue, and he wants to therefore have a real go at his political opponents and their arguments, which he believes now are being proved to be wrong, that the slowdown and the very weak recovery we saw in 2011 and 2012 wasn't caused by his policies but by other events in the world, and now the world is looking better, the economy is recovering, and he was right all along. It's absolutely clear that living standards are lower than they were in 2010 and haven't been growing very quickly. So when the opposition, when Labour say there's a problem with living standards, that's true. And in fact, George Osborne wouldn't deny that. All he would say is that there's no mystery why living standards are weak, and it's because we've been through the deepest recession since the Second World War, and if you're going to have the deepest recession, from which we haven't recovered fully yet, living standards are going to be hit. He said it's not his fault, but it's the fault of the recession. One of the claims that Mr. Osborne made, the Chancellor made, was that this recovery isn't just here, the economy isn't just turning the corner, but also it's going to be a very balanced recovery, and he made two specific claims on the balance of the recovery. One is that regionally it looks pretty balanced, and the other is that it's not being fueled by debt, and so it's not a new mountain of household or corporate debt which is fueling the extra spending. On the latter, he looks to be pretty much in line with the data we've seen yet, though it is very, very early days, and I think it's a bit early to be saying that the rest of the recovery might not end up being fueled by debt, but so far so good. On the former, that it's very regionally balanced and sectorally balanced, well again, these are really early days, and certainly on a regional basis we've seen nearly all the pickup so far in the south, and when we're looking at sort of sectoral balances, manufacturing is still much weaker relative to its pre-crisis peak than services. So I wouldn't say this feels like a balanced recovery yet, and I think it's a pretty dubious claim. It's very difficult to say now that a plan B would have made the economy much better than it is today. And Mr. Osborne's got a pretty strong argument to say that people who said we've got to have a plan B or this economy is going to be in the mire for a very, very long time aren't looking quite so clever now, and it was very much a product of the weakness in the economy. That said, we don't know. We don't know. You can't prove these things. We don't know whether the economy might have been better and might in the long term have been better with looser fiscal policy and more delayed fiscal tightening. But I think now the argument that the recovery is there, has surprised us all, does suggest, makes it quite hard to claim that really a plan B was the answer to problems that were really global and not, certainly for all the advanced economies, are not linked to the UK's austerity at all.